Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to a new episode of the Lux Saigon Podcast. In this conversation, we have Miss Christiane Michelberger. She is the founder of Finding Awakening, and she is currently working in Germany as an awakening coach. You might be asking, okay, but what is awakening? There might be infinity ways to say it, but maybe the simplest way is just finding out who you actually are. I don't know if who is the right word. Then again, any word we choose will just limit what this actually is. Who are you? What is your true nature? What is your essence? Beyond your personality, beyond your nervous system, beyond whoever you think you are. So hello, Miss. Is your name pronounced Christiane?
Right. Perfect.
Great. And how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine, thank you. You might have to cut out some coughs when you edit
Ah,
because I still have a cold, but I didn't want to
actually, yeah,
delay it again.
yeah, no problem. And you are currently in Germany, right?
I'm in Germany, in Hamburg, Germany, right? It's snowy here. I
Oh,
just de-iced my car so I can use it tomorrow.
wow, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
many of our listeners are in Vietnam, so and here in Vietnam, many of us haven't experienced snow either ever or for many years.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted to, yeah, get straight into it. So in your Facebook page, it's called Finding Awakening. So I guess my first
Right.
question is, how did you find awakening in your life?
Yes, that's a good question. And maybe I first define awakening
Mm,
before I talk about it, because awakening is used in a whole vast variety of meanings.
hmm
I use it in the sense the Buddha used it, the historical Buddha, and it means waking up from all the delusions which we project into our experience. And there are quite a few which we don't notice usually. It's just normal. That's how the world is, we think, but actually it's not.
mm,
And that path is kind of ground shaking because things are very different to what we thought they are.
mm,
And it starts with the first step, discovering that there is no me who is the agent of everything, a me that thinks, me deciding, acting, controlling what the outcome is and be improving upon it. But if you just look for this entity me, you won't be able to find it.
mm,
It's a complete invention we made in our development. And that already is quite an insight and also quite a relief. It's really a relief because we spend an enormous amount of energy to protect this precious me, to make it look better to the outside and hopefully to the inside as well, so that we think more of ourselves, have better self esteem,
mm,
things like that. And that all falls away. Life becomes pretty effortless
mm,
because we don't need to prop up something that needs propping up all the time, otherwise, it would just dissipate.
mm. So when was the first time that you questioned who you really are?
It started very early. I was, I think, 25, and in my first residency after studying medicine. And I was on night call in surgery. And the receptionist called the pager announcing a motorbiker who had a severe injury. So everybody gathered in the emergency room. I alarmed them, and yeah, then the biker was brought in and he had already died. We couldn't do anything for him. So now it was my duty as the physician on call to examine him, and I would have to testify in front of a court someday, because they want to know how did this happen? Was somebody else involved maybe in this accident? Are there traces? And so first I needed to find who this man was. It was a young man. And we looked through all these many motorbiker pockets they have in their suit. And I found his identity card in one of them. And I looked at it and read the birthday. And he was born in the same year I was born. It was such a shock to my system. I drove the road where he had his accident daily to work. And I had a little Renault 4, which is no protection at all. And so I thought this could have happened to me. And then the next thought jumped up and said, and I don't even know who I am. I had never asked this question myself. I was not a spiritual person. I was happily, freshly married, and had totally other things in my head than this question, who I was. But this question did not leave me. It was implanted, and I couldn't ignore it at all. It would come up again and again. And I had no idea what to do. So I told my husband, and he said, yeah, well, maybe you have to meditate. He had done some transcendental meditation, but had stopped it. And I thought, yeah, well, maybe. I don't even know what meditation is. So a few weeks later, in our local newspaper was an announcement of an introduction course for Zen meditation. And I thought, oh, an introduction, I'll go there. And so I went there, and I heard for the first time in my life the word awakening. And I thought, that's it, probably. This is how you know who you are. And so I put all my effort into it. I meditated daily, even when I was on call. There's always this magic dinner hour where nobody comes. Nobody has an accident, nobody there, all eating at home. And that's so perfect for meditating. And after that, all hell breaks loose again. And so I really put everything in, went to sessions with a Japanese Zen master, Suzuki Roshi. And it was wonderful. And I could meditate quite well. I really liked that. Just sitting in silence together with others. That was my perfect version of holidays. And so I meditated for maybe 10 years. And then after a while, our Zen circle became red. I don't know whether you ever heard from Osho or something like that. Bhagwan. Yeah. So some people went to see to his meditations as well. And so I asked them, I said, why are you wearing red and what are you doing? And so they explained that to me, and I tried it out, and I found it quite interesting because he had all these body-oriented meditations, which were much more with movement of the body, not just sitting silently. And so I got caught on this path as well. And I learned a lot. I experienced meditation states which I didn't even know the name for, and nobody told me. But after some time, the whole movement turned into a cult, and I left. And and then I didn't know what to do. I had pretty much exhausted everything that was available in Germany at that time. Duality is not big in Germany. There were no teachers I knew, and even today I don't even know whether there are any non-dual teachers here. And so I kind of just flowed along and worked, and always thought of who am I? Who am I really? And nobody could give me the answer. I read spiritual books a lot. I had a friend who worked in a bookshop, and she got me all these books, but they didn't answer the question either. I meditated, I continued to meditate, and fast forward 40 years. I still hadn't solved this question, who I am, but now I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I completely freaked out to know myself. It was like my thoughts were racing and panic flooded me. I didn't know how long I would have to live, and I was feeling my thoughts can't control them. My body might die. And in Buddhism, there is a saying which we repeat uncountable times: this is not me, this is myself, this doesn't belong to me. But hey, it didn't feel like it did. My body didn't belong to me, and it didn't feel like not me who was dying. So I thought, yeah, I'm a spiritual sleepwalker, and this has to stop. And already in the hospital, it was as if I turned my back on this exotic identity as a spiritual seeker. And now I needed to find. But I had no idea how, because I had exhausted my means completely. But now we were in the age of social media, blogs, and things like that. And I found something in my feed that's pointed to a post that said that the body is not ready for awakening. Now, anytime this word showed up, I would go there and have a look. It was very interesting. It was by the Awakened Dreamer, Laurie Lothian, and she talked about waking up at night, having lost her sense of identity fully. And I thought, this is possible. This is basically possible, to see who you are or who you are not. And she linked to a forum that used to guide to seeing that there is no self or no me. And I thought, I'll have a look there and see what they do. And the dialogues were all public. And I read them, and there was a guide who was asking questions, and the client answered. And then there was a point where the client had seen something. And after that, I didn't understand the dialogue any longer. It was like a beautiful Zen poem, very lovely to hear, but completely incomprehensible. And so I thought, all right, something is happening here. And I went to the page of the founder of the platform. There was another founder, but she didn't have a page then. And read about her, and she gave some instructions on her website what to do. And I had been a member of a cult, and I did not want to be influenced at all by anybody, not even a nice guide who asked me just questions. I said, no. Even questions are open to suggestions. So I got that book. It was a book with 20 dialogues. It still exists. It's called The Gateless Gatecrashers. And I downloaded it from Amazon, and then just sat there with my Kindle asking myself all these questions. And it started with, all right, what if there is really no me? How would this pan out? Could I still drive? What about my relationship? What about working? I still worked as a physician. What about all my friends? Could I still connect with them? So I was really not clear whether this was a dangerous field. And the worst thing was, what if I go mad? And in the developmental psychology, developing a sense of self is crucial. Otherwise, people will go mad.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh. And then I thought, nah, I've done more crazy things than this. And just asking me a few questions, I'll do that. I've always fallen on my feet. All right, so I started. It was still the time between radiation and surgery, so it was a very short time period, and 2 weeks, so that the wound is healed when the radiation starts. And I had this, you have all these examinations before radiation. They calculate the degree of radiation other organs get, and then they change their calculations and the rays, and I don't know, I don't understand that, but it's all math. And finally they said, okay, we've got a good module, you can come. And in that 2 weeks, I totally dove deeply into this inquiry and asked myself all these questions. Who reads this book? Who thinks about it? Who looks for the self? Who types on the computer? And I couldn't find anything. I just couldn't find anything. It was like it seemed to retract further and further. And I felt it was like a Trojan you get on a computer, which attaches itself to every file. Like seeing becomes I see, hearing becomes I hear, walking becomes I walk, and really attached to any file that appears. And then the question that I read was, is there a you in a physical form or shape? And I thought, oh, what a silly question, of course not. And in that moment, something shifted dramatically. I had the sense as if hitting a wall with 100 miles speed. And everything completely stopped. It turned dead silence. Everything was totally silent. And I saw in front of me completely clearly that there is no self. And it was so obvious that I asked myself, how could I not see this for 40 years? It's more than obvious. It's just in front of me. Why did I not see this? And by then I felt very expansive, and I went outside. I went to the River Elbe where we lived during that time. And it was like I had taken drugs. Everything was super plastic, super three-dimensional and beautiful and colorful and rich. And the people that came along, they weren't really people. It was so clear they were but images. And I thought, uh-oh, how am I ever going to relate to somebody? And I thought, okay, we'll take care of that later. Now let's enjoy. And I went down to the river, and the sun was sparkling on the waves. It was ever so beautiful. And then there was an ice cream stand, and I stood in line for the ice cream. And in front of me was a girl with beautiful braids. I'd never seen beautiful braids like that. They looked so wonderful. And that lasted for quite a while. And after like 1.5 hours, I walked home. I had a very interesting experience, which I thought, no, this is interesting. I had to cross a red light. I had to stand at a red light. And I waited, and a motorbiker passed by without a muffler, really loud. And that would have annoyed me usually pretty terribly. And it did not annoy me at all. It didn't even reach me really. It was just loud. And I thought, oh, this is interesting. How am I going to deal with things? I have no idea. Okay, I walked home, told my partner, I don't exist. And the reply was, sure you do, I can see you.
Mm-hmm.
And in that moment, I realized there is nobody I can talk to because nobody gets this, right? Except a few people on the platform. And in that moment, I realized that it had been so simple to see that. Now, it's not simple for everybody, but by far not. I don't know why it was simple for me, but it probably was simple because I didn't believe it could happen. You know, there in this book, they start with a disclaimer that the self-illusion can fall away while reading this book. It cannot be reinstated.
Mm-mm.
And I said, yeah. I meditated hundreds, thousands of hours and nothing happened. And reading a book, really.
What was the book called again?
The Gateless Gatecrashers
Okay. Do you know who
by
was the
Ilona
author?
Theonaitia.
Okay. I'll definitely look that up today.
Yeah. And I thought this was so simple. And I thought of all the people in my Buddhist circle. I was in a group where we studied the original scriptures, the Buddha, the talks. He didn't write it, it was written down much later, but it was oral tradition in chorus speaking, which seems to be quite a reliable method for traditions to exist. At least the researchers say that. I cannot judge that. And so we try to understand it and live accordingly. And just 2 weeks before, I think, everybody had complained in the group that they wanted to reach stream entry, which is exactly seeing through the self-illusion. And they hadn't yet, and they had studied the Buddhist scriptures since the World War II. This group existed since the World War II. They wanted to create a peaceful world. That was their aim. And they couldn't. They had no idea how to do this. And I thought, this is not hard. And I need to learn how to guide people because I had guided myself, but guiding others is quite a different talk. And so I signed up on this platform, got confirmed for Things Through the Self-Illusion, and then a mentor was found for me, and I started to learn how to guide. And I still do in a small extent. To a larger extent, I'm now training new guides so that this can go on because I'm already 75, so 3/4 of a century are over, and my life will not last forever. So this is how I started to serve people. And 3 years later, I had another cancer. And that was a very different story. I was completely calm. And it was uterine cancer. And when my gynecologist told me the results of the probe they had taken, I didn't really know what to say. I just said, so what should I do? And she said, you're always so calm. I love you for that. Yeah, I mean, you can't argue with reality. There's no point. And so she told me where to go best and have the treatment. And it was discovered so early that I had no other treatment after that, but an X-ray to see whether the lungs were clear. And they found something, a small speck there, and said it has to be examined in 3 months if it's not grown. And it could have been a metastasis from the breast cancer. And I thought, okay, so if this is a metastasis, now at that point I had seen through all self aspects, and I had died already. So there was nothing to lose. There was literally nothing left to lose. And that is an incredible freedom. It's right what the Beatles saying. Freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose. And I thought, okay, I would have probably 3 more good years. So I should write this all down, how my path went. And I wrote the book, Finding Awakening, a no-nonsense Buddhist path to peace and the end of suffering. And after that, I wrote another one just for seeing through the self-illusion, which is a pure workbook. There's none of my story in there. It's just a workbook for people to use.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So now I'm wondering what kind of clients do you usually attract? Or I don't know if clients is the right word, but what kind of
Yeah, we call
people,
them clients or
what
seekers.
what kind of people usually seek your guidance?
Mostly they are already elderly. Minimum beyond 40, most of them are beyond 60. And everybody has walked some kind of spiritual path, except my colleague who also has her own platform. And they see that they are not where they wanted to be.
Hmm.
And this path is very structured. It has 7 steps, which are in a certain order, and you know exactly when you have passed one step and can go to the next one.
Cool.
And that structure attracts people, especially autistic people, by the way.
Wow, really cool.
Yeah.
Huh. Wow, can you tell us
And
about the steps?
pardon me?
Could you tell us
Yes.
about the 7 steps?
Mhm. So the next step is that we react basically all the time to what is happening around us. We find it good or bad. We think it should continue or not continue. We want to pull it more closer up, or we want to push it away. And we are all the time pushed around by this wanting and not wanting. Wanting and not wanting, that is the next step, desire and aversion. We think in us is something that we call desire and aversion, which makes us react. And what we do fundamentally is looking whether desire and aversion exist at all. This is, by the way, called the 10 fetters. The 7 steps contain 10 fetters, 10 illusions we have about me, what we are, and what we have. And this is about what we have. We think we have something in us, a power that makes us react. Desire and aversion are just the 2 sides of the same coin. I want this, but not that, or the other
Mhm.
way around.
Mm.
And when we look into this, whether there is really something that makes us react, it suddenly becomes obvious there is nothing. There is absolutely nothing. And then there is another shift. The shift is really always a sudden shift of perspective. And life becomes incredibly calm. And I thought, my goodness, I hadn't even known what contentment was. I felt so content. It was amazing. That was a big step. I think that's the biggest of all. And I did not react to anything any longer. It was during my radiation treatment. I was at my niece's wedding on the weekend, and on Monday morning, the shift happened on this weekend. On Monday morning, the radiology department called me and said, "Yeah, I'm sorry, you have an appointment with Dr. So and so, and we need to change that because she's working in another clinic right now." And they had done that once with me, and I had had a meltdown in the office. And she tried to calm me down. And I didn't know what to say because nothing happened. Nothing. It was like you want to turn on your car, you turn the key, and it doesn't even idle. It's like I didn't even know what to do or say. And then I finally got out, yeah, it's okay. Because there was nothing that was not okay with it.
Mm.
That was fantastic, really fantastic. And that smoothes life in an incredible manner. Life becomes easy. It's not that you do not say what you think, but it's not emotionally charged, and that changes a lot.
Mm.
And when arguing from a point without any emotional charge is usually also much better received.
Mm.
When you don't, but you say, yeah, yeah, that's the view. I see it this way. Or no, I do not want that. Yesterday evening, a young chap rang at my door at 9 p.m. and said he didn't feel well and whether he could come in. I was on my own. I said, no, you can't come in. I can give you a glass of water and you can sit down on the stairs. That's fine. And I can call the ambulance if you don't feel really bad, if you feel really bad. And he said, no, he has just drank too much and he had something with his parents that they threw him out. I thought, no, sorry, I can't take you in. And there was no emotional charge. I felt quite sorry for him, but I couldn't help him. He needed to go home and apologize to his parents. I couldn't help him with that. And so life is really easy. And also, it surprisingly, which was new to me, it didn't turn into becoming a doormat. That was something I was afraid of, that I would just make do with everything. But interestingly, that did not happen. And instead, I was much clearer, and I'm still much clearer than I had been before. And after that, most examinations about what we are and have are finished, and we examine reality as such. Is there a reality outside of ourselves, like an object that is perceived by a subject? We look for the subject. This is already very subtle, but with each step, the subtlety can be dealt with because we adjust to the subtlety. And when that falls, then it becomes clear that there is no subject-object split. There are appearances, and that's it. And everything appears flat, like on a TV screen. When we see a nature movie on the TV, it looks like three-dimensional, but actually, no, it's a flat screen. And this is exactly how the world looks to me now. Unfortunately, I added some bumps to my car and some dents because not calculating space is hard when you drive.
Wow.
Yeah, especially when I park. It's always when I park. I cannot measure that. Just the other day in the snow, I ran into a pole. So, yeah. And in the next step, the fundamental faculty we think we have is questions, and that's the faculty of perception. Is the world even perceived? And when it becomes clear that perception is just an illusion as the self, it's like everything breaks away. Things are not perceived, and it becomes clear they are not substantial. They are not made from something firm. They just appear to us like that. In dream, it's the same. We also have firm objects in dream. And time, the time concept is totally lost on me since then, because what is time? This is just another concept we carry around, just like space, which either goes in the step before or here, and also the feeling that things are permanent. It's very simple to find out. Just look for one thing that's permanent. Can you find any?
I mean, the only thing that comes to mind is, actually, I don't know, consciousness itself, but I'm not even sure.
Yeah, what is consciousness? Show me that.
Yeah, I'm not even sure. The thing that allows me to experience this moment.
Well, does it? You have to look for it. If something is truly there, you're able to see it. Even if it's a translucent glass of water, you can still see it. Or you can hear it or touch it. This is what we call reality. And if it's only a concept, then we can't experience it with our senses. That's
For
the
sure.
difference between facts and fiction. And in the next step, the last sense of I am or I exist disappears. This is quite a very radical step. It happened to me while I was in bed with another bronchitis. And I felt how the sense of self was kind of draining off me. And first I panicked, but then I thought, no, calm down. You can't stop this anyway. And I had had a very bad experience with trying to stop a shift.
Mm.
And when I woke up, I fell asleep during that. And when I woke up, I had the sense of entering a foreign body and not knowing who is that, what kind of habits do they have, how do they feel, what is feeling anyway. And it was like in E.T. coming to Earth, entering a body. It was very weird. And it took me a bit to realize that everything will still work the same, because we don't lose anything that's really there, that can't be lost. It's just another delusion, really a delusion that we think we are.
Mm.
And then comes an incredible restlessness trying to restore what was lost.
Mm.
And it's looking for something to know for sure, for something that's permanent, and for something that is really, really making me happy forever. That's one of our grand fundamental wishes, being happy forever. That's how it all started.
Mm.
And even a baby finds out that's not possible. Even the best mom, there will be still body sensations that are painful or uncomfortable. And then we invent the idea that there must be something else. We just need to look for it, and
Mm.
then our wishes will be fulfilled. And
Mm.
that's how this restless search starts, and the other way around, all the fetters develop.
Mm.
And in the last step, when everything falls away, I was longest bound to I want to be happy always. Oh my God. I felt like a child in the post office saying, I want ice cream. And the mother says, you can't buy that here. This is the post office. No, I want ice cream. And I wanted happiness. And so I stood, when it finally shifted, I stood in the tube station and I looked around just asking myself, so is this satisfactory or is it unsatisfactory? Because I was looking for satisfactoriness. And finally, the penny dropped, and I thought, these words do not describe reality. This is a tube station. It is not satisfactory nor unsatisfactory. This is not a descriptor of reality.
Mm.
And then it dropped that everything I had thought to be true, it was just like that. It was just an imagination.
Mm.
And I felt like the proverbial fish who swims the seven seas in search of water.
Mm. Mm.
And it had always been like this. It had never been different. It was so obvious. I just had imagined all that.
Mm. So it sounds like awakening is like the dropping of stories.
Right, the dropping of stories, of imaginations, stories we firmly believe in.
Mm. It's so cool how it tries to find something to hold on to.
Yeah, right. And the first thing it develops is then the sense of I exist,
All right.
which is still very subtle, but can be clearly felt. That's like the first permanent thing it creates.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had moments where I thought like I am awakened now. Like like I think I woke up.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's truly waking up from a dream. It's really a dream we lived in. Yeah.
Mm. Before I forget, I want to ask, how can people sign up to like learn your method of guiding?
Oh, they have to have gone through these steps themselves. They can guide in any steps they already mastered.
Mm-mm.
That's how I started too. I started with a self illusion, and then I took on the other steps one after the other as I passed them.
Mm.
And when they want a mentor, then they can write to me under contact@findingawakening.com.
Mm.
I can give you that in written afterwards.
Sure. Yeah, can
Mhm.
somebody is there like someone that can help them to confirm that they've passed each level?
Yeah, everybody who has passed a level can confirm that
Mm.
because they know exactly how it is and they see when it has not happened.
Hmm.
That's very important because otherwise you're asking yourself maybe the wrong questions.
Mm. I don't know if you have like a team of people that work with you, yeah, like your team.
Yeah,
But
we have a team, right? We are a team.
yeah, like I definitely like trust your guidance and anybody in your team, I would trust them too because of you.
Hmm.
I don't want to connect people to random people and just assume that they will guide them, but I do trust you and your team. So
Hmm.
yeah, I would love to connect you to anyone who would benefit from that.
Yeah, fine. Yeah,
And I
there are.
think even myself too, I would love to yeah like talk to someone and see like what other steps I should be taking. And then because
Mhm.
I would love to also like have a life where I help people guide, where
Hmm.
I help people on this path too, because I'm not sure what
Yeah.
else to do.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Um, you're in luck. You're in great luck because I just onboarded a new guide who has seen through all these fetters on his own.
Mm,
I think this is incredible just with using the literature that's out. And so he's ready to start.
cool.
Yeah. And we will be exchanging every reply he gives you. So, because he has seen through the self illusion, it's himself alone, like me. And then it's really hard to guide because you've never been guided. People
Mm-mm.
who have been guided, they go back to their own dialogue and see, ah, what did my guide do then? And yeah, I knew that. But we don't have anything. And I had to learn it the hard way. My first client, oh my God, I think I confused him more than anything. And
Mm,
the trouble was, he was an immersive script writer for movies.
mm, mm.
Movies you should identify with. That's immersive scripting. And he was so good at it. Oh, um, yeah. But then I learned it.
So he was
So
like
if
so good at
you,
identifying with like his character or something, like
yeah, he identified with his inner characters, right?
uh,
Totally.
true,
These
true.
are really like movie characters you identify with.
Yeah. What do you think about Jim Carrey? That he was like so like caught up in his roles that after filming a movie he forgot who he was.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. We forget who we are. I
I think
think
he had
that's
like a
great.
mental breakdown or something, but and then somehow he managed to get in touch with who's the German teacher Eckhart Tolle, right?
Eckhart Tolle, yeah.
I think Jim Carrey somehow met up with Eckhart Tolle and then he helped to guide him or something because I heard Jim Carrey was
Yeah.
having an actual breakdown.
Well, what Jim Carrey experienced was a lost sense of self. And
Mm-mm.
that's quite dramatic if it happens all of a sudden and unexpectedly.
Mm,
And Tolle experienced the same, and he lived on a bench for 2 years. He couldn't adjust to it.
mm,
So I really admire when something does this on their own and not has any guidance about how to deal with it. Like there is this phase after awakening with where you're completely disoriented. Everything you had is gone. And I remember it was shortly after Christmas when I got a beautiful shoulder bag for Christmas, a big shoulder bag, which I had uh, liked. And I had this bag and was walking along the road, and the icy winds were blowing in my face. And I thought, what if I just put a tarp and a change of clothing to this bag and just walk through Europe. And that was serious. But then the wind was so cold that I thought, no, I don't think this is the right season for this. Sleeping under a tarp is not feasible. And so I didn't do it. But people are a bit lost. And then, there's a lot of advice what to do then. But the best is really to keep doing what you are doing, even if it makes no sense. That's why I demand that people have a life. They work or are at home and do that successfully so that they can return to something that fills their life and are not completely aimless. The shifts are massive and a lot of emotional stuff is worked upon during the time.
What you were saying now, it sounds kind of like the whole chop wood, carry water story.
Yeah,
It's
right.
like your life still
Exactly.
continues, right? You're not gonna sit on a bench forever.
No, life continues. Right. Yeah.
Although some
Behind me
people
are
do,
two buckets with laundry I need to fold.
yeah. And I'm thinking like some people like Ramana Maharshi, they do for some reason just sit down and chill forever, right?
Yeah, but he had the servants.
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't
true.
have that.
That is true. Yeah, that is true. Or even who was that
I
lady?
wanted it.
Who was that lady? Ananda Mayi Ma. I think she never. I heard a rumor that she didn't actually pick up food to eat, but I mean, people still gave her food.
Yeah,
So
I think that is awakening gone wrong, really.
really,
I just stay in this unstructured space, but Zen is much more down to earth, and I'm very happy I only knew Zen because it's really a chop wood carry water.
mm-mm.
Mm.
Cool.
And it's very grounding, and grounding is really what's needed on that path.
Mm-mm.
There are periods when the energy is very activated, and then it's also important to do a lot of grounding work with your hands, walking outside and walking barefoot on the ground, literal grounding, so
Mm,
that all the energy can go somewhere.
mm,
I had phases where I didn't even open the internet because that was so unsettling and ungrounding for me.
mm.
It was quite amazing. I had not known that.
So what about now? Do you watch Netflix these days?
I know I don't have Netflix.
Oh,
I
cool,
don't have
perfect.
a TV at all.
Wow, good.
No, I get my entertainment somewhere else.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, no, no. TV bores me.
Mm-mm. Another screen to look at. The screen and
Yeah,
the
right.
screen.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm very happy when I just listen to a podcast and knit, for example. I love to knit vintage clothing. I'm
Uh-huh.
just right now knitting a winter jacket. It's a little bit late now, but yeah. So, yeah, life becomes very simple.
Mm-mm.
And some aspect people might not expect is that not only the lows are gone, but the highs are gone too.
Mm-mm.
I did not expect that. I was traveling in South England a few years ago, and I was on the Isle of Wight, and it had been very rainy and stormy. But then one day the sun came out, and I took my car and drove along the south coast line, and suddenly there was this big supernatural light at the coast, and I thought, what is this? And I drove on a parking spot, and it was these white cliffs, and the sun lit them up so beautifully. It was supernatural, incredible. And I did not feel any different. That was remarkable for me. And I thought, this is weird.
Mm.
And we have a group of people who are beyond the fetters, as we call it. And they all say that, yeah, the lows are gone, but the highs are too. They depend on each other.
Mm. More
Sometimes the spark
eccentric
comes
then.
back. Yeah, like when I drove, here's the bridge of the River Elbe, and I once drove over it, and I saw all the blinking lights in the harbor and everything, and it felt like crossing the Golden Gate Bridge. And it felt very exciting, but that is rare. That is really
Mm.
rare.
Do you find yourself
Yeah,
laughing more than before?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, many things are really silly. And yeah, when it's so clear that what is experienced are appearances, more I cannot say. And it could well be that I'm sitting somewhere on a cloud with Google goggles on and watching a movie all the time, totally
Mhm.
identifying with the main character. And maybe that's what's happening here. I have no idea.
Mm.
And then the character decides to do something, saying, "Oh no, don't do it. Get the popcorn out."
Ah.
Something like that.
Do you still
Is she
feel
doing
that
it?
there's
Is
a
she not doing it?
character like do you still feel there's a character trying to make decisions?
No, I don't, not at all.
Mm.
Mm-mm.
So just like
It's
pure
like
intuition
watching
or
this happen. It's not even watching this, it's just all happening.
mm. Just watching the movie.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Awesome.
Except there is nobody watching the movie. It's
I
just all appearing like a dream appears.
I there's just something happening
There are
again.
some, yeah, there are some mornings I wake up and think, okay, which dream am I changing into now?
Mm. Is there any like final message you would like to send to the listeners before we log out?
If you embark on this journey, there is nothing better you could do in your life and with your life, in my view. But be prepared, it's a hero's journey.
Mm.
For example, when we see through the different aspects of the me, what also goes away are all defense mechanisms. We all have defense mechanisms up to then that keep feelings and memories that are not so nice away from our consciousness. And it will all come up, all. There is no stopping it. And that's why it's a hero's journey. You will face your own dragon. Yeah, everybody has their own dragon, and you'll face it.
Mm. Just have to feel everything.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Miss Christiane. See
Sure.
you again.
See you again. Bye
Okay.
bye.
Take care. Bye bye.